Welcome to Back of the Room. My guest today is a very funny stand-up comedian. He's been on Dry Bar, Bob and Tom Show, and The Late Show with David Letterman. It's Johnny Beehner. What's up, man? I had the claps in, you know.
Applause.
Yeah.
I'm doing good. I'm doing great. Good to be here.
Thanks for being here. How the show's been going?
Show's been going good. A lot of fun. Good crowds. Yeah, I always like coming here to St. Louis.
Yeah, it's a good room. It's hard to beat that room. But
yeah.
You been coming here for quite a while, or?
Yeah, I was trying to think earlier today. I don't know how many times I've been here or how long. I've been coming here for quite a while.
Okay,
yeah,
cool.
It's good.
Yeah, I know we're just now meeting, so, you know, it's kind of in that,
okay,
you know, beginning stages. Like, where are you from originally? I don't really know a whole lot about you.
I'm originally from Omaha, Nebraska.
Okay.
I started my comedy career in Milwaukee. So I went to Marquette, so just started doing comedy, around campus, and then around the scene after I graduated, and in 2008 maybe I went full time. Quit my was it a wholesale mortgage lender job, and
okay,
just never looked back. Yeah,
nice.
Been doing it a while. Lived all over. Lived in Nashville, L.A., New York. Now I'm in Madison, Wisconsin now.
Okay, I've never been. I've always heard good things.
Yeah, it's great.
College town, and heard it's awesome.
Great club.
Yeah. Which club is that again?
Comedy on State.
Okay.
Down by the Capitol.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Any certain city you were in for like the beginning stages of like trying to kind of progress the career?
Yeah, pretty much Milwaukee. I was living in Milwaukee when I kind of, climbed the ranks and started as a host, feature, and started getting headline work. So, but yeah, I mean, I would travel, I'd travel anywhere my car would take me. And
yeah.
We lived in LA for a few years, and so I was mostly flying then, but and I fly occasionally, but I don't mind driving. I like it.
Yeah, I don't mind driving either. Like you get to a certain point, mine's like 4 or 5 hours.
Okay.
Like I can do 4 or 5 hours pretty easy, but then you get past 6, 7. That's gets a little rough.
I gotta do 6 after the show tonight.
Okay.
To get home. I'll get back at probably 3:30 in the morning, and then I'll probably be up at like 7 with the kids. I got 3. My kids are still young, so I'll be. Tonight's gonna be a rough one.
Yeah. Good luck, man.
Yeah.
Make a couple stops if you need it, I guess.
Yeah, I'll have the adrenaline of the show to get me the first couple hours, and then podcasts. Maybe I'll have to look at your back catalog.
Yeah,
back
man,
of the
check
room
it
and
out.
listen.
I saw you were on Letterman as well. What was that experience like?
That was great. That was I was on right at the end.
Okay.
So I was January of 2015, and he was done. I think April or May, and I was the last new comic that they had. So I wasn't the last comic. They had others, but I was the last comic to make their debut, and it was great. I mean, very nerve-wracking, but just the most exciting career highlight so far.
Yeah,
being on the Late Show with David Letterman.
Yeah, right in at the end there. Like, because at the very end, they had like Norm and some of the big like guys that have been on the show a million times.
Yeah,
right?
I think Norm was the last one to do. Was it? No, I think it was Norm. Might have been Seinfeld, but I think it was Norm.
Yeah,
that did that very last stand up on it.
Yeah, that's awesome. Like, how did that come about? Like, how do you get the call or get figure out that you're going to do it?
I mean, I've been trying for years before that, submitting and talking. They switched bookers, and so it's just a rough, and I got a hold of the guy. I had some references from comics that had done the show, and he saw my set. Was like, oh, that's great. Yeah, we'd love to work with you, and figure it out. And then just kind of radio silence for a while, and then after the holidays, I was like, well, the show's going away. It's not going to happen, but I'll just email him one more time, say, hope everything goes well after the show's done. And he, they must have had a fallout or something, because he was like, he wrote me back and he was like, hey, can you talk on the phone? And I was like, yeah. And then so I called him, and the guy was like, hey, are you available? I think it was the 7th that I got the call. And then the 15th was when I shot it.
Man,
so
that's not a lot of time to prepare.
Know. But I think, honestly, I think that's best, because then it has less time for me to freak out about it, be nervous. I mean, that week was crazy. I was going to clubs every night and tweaking stuff. I'd send him the tape. He'd be like, well, you can't say this. Got to get the time to this. But my set overall had been approved. There was just a couple
of little
words,
changes.
like you couldn't say boob. I think I was supposed to say boob. Something about boobs, I don't know. But he was like, yeah, you have to say breast. So there's some jokes I just took out because it was like, that's not going to work. But yeah, I mean, for the most part, it was the set I submitted, and I did it. When I was, you're nervous for all sorts of things. You're nervous that like, I'm going to get bumped or something's going to happen, and it'll change. And I got very lucky.
Yeah.
Taped, aired. It was great.
That's
and
awesome.
it was cool because I taped it on a Thursday. He did Monday through Thursday. He would tape. So he would tape 2 on Thursday. So the Friday one was not, was not taped the same day. So I was back home. We flew home on Friday, and then we had like the news came to my house. I had a bunch of friends over, so we're like watching it airing, and the news is covering it, local boy on Letterman, whatever, when we're watching it. So it was kind of cool to be home and watch it while it aired.
Yeah, that's awesome, man, because like they still do that. I mean, the Tonight Show still has comics sometimes, but it doesn't feel like it still has the kind of kick that it did back when Letterman and Conan always had.
Yeah, and Conan was great. I wish I would have been on. That would have been my other one. It would have been.
Those are my two
Conan.
top guys. I think on late night. Probably.
Yeah, because Conan would have him on a lot. I mean, he would have probably at least once a week a stand up. Letterman not as often, and the Tonight Show. I don't know how often they're doing stand up comedy, but it's a big credit, but it's not as prevalent.
Yeah, that's cool, man. Did you get to talk to Dave before or after it all, or kind of more?
No, he's I don't think anyone, even celebrity, unless it's like, his friends, like he's pretty much, after he says goodnight, he's in the car. So the only time I saw him was what you see on screen, But it's good. He came out loud. He was laughing at my last joke as he came up, shook my hand. So that's all the ego boost I needed.
That's cool, man. Yeah, I saw you were in Chicago for a while too, and L.A. you said. And did you do some improv as well?
Yeah, I did a lot of improv. I did a lot of improv before I did stand up. I went through the Second City program when I was I was living in Milwaukee, but I would go down to Chicago and do that. So I did that shortly after graduating college, and then when we were living in L.A., I went through the UCB Upright Citizens Brigade program.
Gotcha.
And yeah, it's fun. I love improv. I know there's like rivalry between stand up and improv, but I appreciate both. I mean, I like stand up as far as a career because you're on your own. You want to do something, you do it. You're not relying on anyone. It's lonelier, but I don't know how you make money. I mean, I think it's easier to make a under the radar career and living at stand up comedy as opposed to improv. I don't know how you do that unless
we have an improv shop thing here in town, and I've been doing stand up for a while, and then I did a one of those shows. It was like mostly improvised.
Okay.
It was stand up, but it was mostly improvised. It was one of the nights where I was like, whatever, show, like a specialty thing, and I bombed. And I'm like, shit, I better look into this improv stuff a little, and I went through the program, and it was cool, but it's kind of a different animal for sure.
Well, what kind of program is like? Because I mean, improv with stand up, like when that's the theme of the show, is like no set list. It's very different than
this was improv.
Scene.
Like it's in town here. It's called the Improv Shop, and they teach like have classes and shows
and
all that
work and stuff.
Yeah. And it was cool. Like I went through it. It was fine. But I liked stand-up. I started with stand-up, and then going to that, I felt like a little weird just because, it's so different. And I feel like people that are really good at improv are like, more like probably better actors or better, performers. And I'm pretty chill on stage and just tell jokes.
Pretty chill, yeah.
But, it was cool.
That's cool.
It's gotta try to get a bigger bag,
Yeah,
so I was just trying
to
like,
have in your tool belt to be able to do, improv and react and just let your mind.
So you kind of started both at the same time, or was it stand up before improv, or?
No, it was improv first because I mean I did improv all through high school, and then at Marquette I was like the leader of the improv troupe there, and so I had a lot of experience for that. And then it wasn't till I think the summer after my freshman year of college, I was living in New York with my brother, and he had done stand up, and I just thought it was so cool. So I got some people together, went to a bringer show where like, if you bring 5 people, they'll let you go on stage for 5 minutes. And that was the first time I did it. And I just, I fell in love. I was like, oh my God, what a rush. It was so fun. So then I'd start putting on my own shows on campus. and I was, everyone knew I had like a built-in audience because I was the improv team is like huge at Marquette. The shows always sell out. And I was on the team, so everyone knew who I was. So if I was doing stand-up shows, like it's just sell out.
Yeah.
Because they knew who I was. And then, which was great. It was great to build my confidence and writing. But then after graduating and hitting the clubs, you're a total nobody. And I've got all this confidence. It's like such a wake-up call. It's like, oh, the audience isn't on your side.
Yeah.
You got to earn it every show,
Yeah,
so it was tough.
That must have been kind of nice, just because you kind of missed the initial in the clubs 5 people in the crowd.
Yeah,
you got to kind of have a built-in.
Well,
audience,
I did experience that.
Yeah,
but
I'm sure you did at some point, but you got a little bit of
I got a
nice kind of run before it
exactly
reality set in, I guess. But that's awesome.
Yeah.
Is there any? You started doing it pretty young. Like, what kind of got you into it initially? Was there anything that kind of made you want to try it initially, or?
Well, I'm from a big family, 7 kids, and I'm middle, so I would always complain I didn't get enough attention. And my oldest brother is he's an actor. He's the one I lived with. He's in LA now, and he's one of the groundlings out in LA. So I kind of, my love of performing came from him, and so that's kind of what gave me the bug. So I just need the attention from being one of 7, and then just kind of wanted to follow in his footsteps. And
nice. Yeah, that's cool, man. Any favorite comedians you had, like growing up or even now? Just a few that you really always kind of like to watch?
Nope. No, just kidding.
Not a big comedy guy.
Yeah, I don't like comedy. It's overrated. I like Bill Burr, Gaffigan, Brian Regan, of course, Steve Martin. Greg Hahn. I don't know if have you ever seen Greg Hahn?
Yeah, I have.
He's probably one of my top 2 or 3. He just
got a lot of energy,
and he helped me a lot at the beginning when I was starting out. He helped me. I didn't know any better. I wasn't in the world, and he came to the comedy club, and all I'd been doing was these shows at the school at my college. So he came to the Comedy Cafe in Milwaukee, and I gave him I went and saw him and gave him like a VHS tape. I was like, "Hey, I do comedy too. Here's my, tape if you ever need someone to open for you." And I have those tapes and they're awful. But he was just, he was like, you're funny, So he actually did. He brought me on the road a few times and helped me out a lot. But I could just watch his show over and over and just laugh every time. He's so funny.
Yeah, he's pretty funny. He's got a lot of energy for
yeah.
sure. Is there any kind of advice he gave you early on, or anybody else gave you that you kind of hung on to at all?
God, I'm sure.
That's a tough question. I'm sure you got.
But I learned a lot. Just like, as far as like, it was great because the first time he took me out, we were somewhere in Indiana, I think, and we'd hang out in the hotel room, and we would write together. And so like he would do my jokes back to me, but I was still very new. So I kind of wasn't that great of a writer. I just, I could kind of get laughs, but it was not great structure. So he's doing my jokes back to me, but like better than I could do them or better than I wrote, and just like improving everything. And I just had, I just was so enthralled and thought it was so impressive. And I just kind of learned, you gotta write to what makes you laugh, as opposed to, what's gonna make the crowd laugh, or what's going to get the most laugh. You got to be like, what would I want to see on stage? And just, it's hard. But I think that's, as far as longevity, that's the way to go. You just gotta.
That is good advice. Just writing like what you think is funny.
Mm-hmm.
It's sometimes, that's always good advice, but sometimes I'll get in my own head. I'm like, what the hell? Why do I think this is funny? Or why did I write this? Or, something like that. But that's always good advice. I've heard that from a lot of guys. Is there any kind of, what's your writing process like now?
I'll watch, actually, a lot of this stuff is when I'm driving. I'll listen to old shows that I have audio recordings of and just kind of think of, what, because, you're thinking, and when you're a comedian and you're watching someone's act, you're kind of trying to see where it's going. And so I'll listen to my own shows and just try to think of other tags or jokes or what would be interesting to hear about. But I think I write the best just when I just go long walks and like kind of mentally pretend I'm on stage, just talk to myself, and just kind of improving like I'm on stage, but I'm just on a walk. And then I'll do voice memos, be like, oh, that was funny, and try to capture it.
And then kind of work it out on stage and tweak it. I gotcha.
Yeah,
that's a good way to do it too. I mean, nobody does it the same way. It seems like I've asked a lot of people that, and they're always like, well, I got to write for 5 hours and then cut it down, or I got to just do it on stage. Or
and I've done them all. I've done I have notebooks full of stuff that I write, but it's not the most, like, I'll write for hours and then not come back to it because it's like, that wasn't fun. Mm-hmm. Reading it's even less fun. But you got. I mean, when I was in college, I had a computer. I would type it. I would use a word processor, and I have notebooks printed out from those shows where it's just like word for word typed out. And it was very disciplined. I think that helps. It kind of helped with my discipline of writing and being keeping myself in check. But I just can't do it anymore. I mean, I got 3 kids. I don't have,
You're a busy guy, it sounds like, man.
I'm just making all these excuses.
No, I mean, it's always, it would be beneficial to write every day if you could, but I need to do it more. But, some people, that's their process, but not, I don't do it enough. But, what are you going to do? Everybody's got their own thing. Yep. Like early on, I mean, it sounds like you had a pretty good run there. Mm-hmm. Does any like show stick out as your like worst show ever?
Oh, worst show? Yeah, I did a post-prom. That
sounds bad already.
The worst. It was at I think it was at a YMCA, and it was like, it was a room, I don't know, maybe 3 times the size of the room we're in. It was the ballet room, so it's all mirrors. The walls are all mirrors, and they have a railing around it, so it's like, the dance room or whatever it is. And the guy before me was a guy that had like a cart and with all these CDs, and he would like do these games where you got to sit on the balloon and pop it before your partner. Just all this dumb stuff. He had a headset mic. And so then he's like, all right, well, we're going to do the comedy now. Here's Johnny Beehner. There's no like handheld mic. It was just the headset. I couldn't figure out how to get it on. I got all these kids staring at me, and I'm just like losing credibility right away. Like, what the hell? How's this work? I do, my joke about Beehner Wiener, making fun of my last name. And then like a minute and a half later, this music starts coming out of his machine that's like in the corner of the room. And I was like, what is that? It's distracting. And he was like, sorry, I couldn't resist. And it was the theme song for Oscar Mayer Wiener. But it was like a minute after the joke was over because he heard me do the joke. He's like, oh, my God, I got an idea. He has to dig through his CDs, find it, put it on. I'm not even talking about that anymore. And the song itself, when it starts, you don't know what it is right away.
Yeah.
There's some weird, unrecognizable sound before it gets into the part And it was just like, oh, my God. It was just a nightmare. There was like garbage and kids popping, balloons while I'm doing my show. And when they wanted to, like, I was in the corner by the door, so when kids wanted to just get up and leave, they had to be like, oh, excuse me, and I had to like get out of the way.
Damn,
so they could
that's
leave.
rough.
It was.
So that's one of these deals, kind of like go here after prom,
like,
so you don't drink.
Sex.
Yeah,
go see this comedian instead of get laid for the first time in your life.
Yeah, that's rough, man.
But that was one of those ones where I had the check in my pocket, and I was just like, it's right here.
Yeah, just keep rubbing it in your
10
pocket.
minutes, I'll be in my car all by myself. This will all be behind me. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a rough one, man. What do you got coming up? You said you got some more dates coming up.
Yeah, I got this week I have Madison Comedy Week is this starting today because it's Sunday. So I've got a show on Tuesday. Was that like a Seasoned Vets show where it's a bunch of comics that have been doing it way longer and then Best of the Fest is on Sunday, so I'm on one of those shows at Comedy on State, so I'm excited for those shows.
Nice.
And then I just have a few more club dates, and been doing a lot of like corporate, private shows. Yeah, especially around the holidays. It's a good.
Hopefully those are better than the prom ones. I'm heard.
Yeah, I'm a lot pickier about what I'll take now. Yeah.
Yeah, I've heard good and bad things about corporates, They're like, well, they pay well, but,
Yeah.
it's not always your crowd, or they're not always
Yeah, they're not
prepared.
always rewarding. Yeah. Sometimes the light's terrible. Sometimes the sound's awful. But,
Yeah, that's
you
cool,
get
man.
a weekend pay, like what a club would pay in a weekend in a show, you
Yeah.
know? So you can kind of get in and out. Sometimes they're surprisingly fun. But, yeah.
Yeah, that's cool. I've been to a couple corporate things that, like, my work has put on, and the last one was terrible. It was like Clue, they're like,
Sure.
it's the murder mystery thing.
Oh, yeah,
So
yeah.
they had this guy, and he was trying to set it all up, and they were running around and talking about who did it, and I was like, holy shit, this is terrible. To the guy sitting next to me, he's like, I kind of like it. I'm like, come on, dude. There's no way that you like this. And then the guy that got murdered just got up and played a different character.
Yeah.
I was like, you couldn't just get
Someone
one more
must have
guy.
called in sick.
Yeah,
at
I
the,
was like, come
murder
on,
mystery
man.
crew.
It was rough. So,
Yeah.
yeah, well, cool, man. It was nice to meet you. We're going to take a quick break here. We're getting to know each other. We'll be right back with more Johnny Beehner and Back of the Room. All right, we're back. Sitting here in the back of the room with Johnny Beehner. Going to talk about some first world problems.
Sure.
You know, we have it pretty good, I think, most of the time. I'm not good with technology. I was just talking about this new audio software that I don't know how to use.
Yeah.
So hopefully it's working. I had shut off in the last episode for 15 minutes, and then I didn't know. So I'm sorry about that episode.
Oh,
But,
whoops.
Now
Now you have a special Lost Tapes episode.
Yeah.
Like, oh, wow.
the bad audio version
Yeah.
of episode 15. But, yeah, I had another thing. I don't know if you can relate, but my phone, I drive around a lot for work.
Okay.
Google Maps, type in the address, hit start, start, and then it shifts down and won't let you start the trip. So, like, the bar to where the button you would hit,
it's like off screen.
it's on screen, but it's low enough to where if you hit it, it doesn't do anything. Happens twice a day now, and it's driving me insane.
Yeah, they gotta fix that stuff. No, you know what? That makes me think. Like, so as far as first world problems, my buddy, he's another comedian, very funny. Jason Russell's his name. We're Apple guys. Like, we used to get all excited, when iPhones were new and they'd have a new invention. And now it's like, okay, it's a new, they're not changing anything. Oh, it's a better camera. That's pretty much the only thing.
Yeah.
So I kind of fell off. I don't get all excited about the new, whatever the conference is they have every year. But he follows it, and he's like, dude, I'm gonna leave Apple. I swear to God, if they don't figure out, you can't schedule a text. What if I want to call my wife in the middle of the night, or I want to send her a text, but I don't want to wake her up? It's like, that's the definition of first world problem. He's like losing his mind, furious. He's like, I don't understand why they don't do that. Androids can do that. It's ridiculous. I'm just like, I don't know, maybe just make a memo for yourself and send it in the morning. But
That's a first world problem for sure. And mine is too, but I have to stop what I'm doing, like driving, shut the phone off, turn it back on, and then it works for some reason. And I got to do it 2 or 3 times a day. I went into the store, and they're like, yeah, we don't know. It's a Google thing.
But they know about the problem?
This guy didn't act like he did. There was 3 guys sitting there not doing anything. And I'm like, you guys fix this?
What
and he's
kind
like,
of phone is it?
It's an Android. I'm an Android guy.
Oh, there's
But
your problem, buddy.
I don't know. I guess this might be
Time to drink the Kool-Aid.
this might be the straw that breaks the camel's back, but I
man.
don't know. But anything you've run across that first world problem technology
as
wise?
far as mine, I mean, we just got the newest car I've ever had. We always have cars that are like 6 or 8 years old, so we just got one that's 2021, and it's got all the safety features, which is it's very nice, but it's very weird. And when you stop behind a car, if you're too close to them or you're like coming up too fast and the car doesn't think you're paying attention, or like I'll approach the car and then I'll stop more suddenly, less smooth. But the screen will just blink red and it'll start beeping really loud while having a little crash emoji. It says crash imminent. I don't crash, but it's like that. You don't need that. You already have enough adrenaline when you're about to hit the car in front of you, but then to have your car add on top of that, It's just like, give me a break.
Yeah, I've had a rental car with that too, and sometimes it would do that when you weren't gonna crash. Like, you change lanes, and it's like, oh, beep, and you're like, I wasn't gonna hit that guy, or like one of those intersections where it's like an S, and you kind of got cars coming at you. It would do it. I was like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Like, this is almost a hazard on top of a hazard here.
Yeah, I've been driving longer than you, car.
Yeah,
give me a break.
I got another thing. I'm obviously not good with technology, but like on my computer now, every time it opens, it's like your McAfee whatever security is expired, and then you got to click it. Like, you can't do anything until you click yes or like uninstall or update, and I'll click one, and then it'll go to another page, and then I don't do anything. So that's probably an easier.
You know what I'm telling you? You gotta come over to Apple.
Yeah,
because we don't have that on MacBooks.
I should have done it probably, because I bought this laptop like a year and a half ago.
Yeah.
Started doing this podcast, got my video editing software, and called in because it kept crashing. And the guy was like, yeah, that's just not going to work. That laptop doesn't have enough RAM or all this kind of stuff. So I was like, what the hell? I just got this thing. And I had to buy a new one. It's also not an Apple for a lot of money. And it shuts off and doesn't restart quickly, and I don't know. I'm not a technology guy.
Is it the thing, like Apple, yes, I think Apples are superior. Like, it's just the computers are better, but can't you get aren't they way more expensive than a equally powerful PC?
Apple's pretty pricey. Like, you're saying
I'm saying Apple is very pricey.
You're saying they're more than what a regular.
Yeah, like if you need something to get done, you could probably get a PC for what, $600-$700.
Mm-hmm.
That would get the job done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I was going with. I've always been Android. I've always been like HP, non-Apple.
Yeah.
Just because I suck at technology, and I felt like I kind of knew what was going on, but.
Okay.
I don't know, man. What are you going to do? First world problems.
Yeah, exactly. Listen to us.
Got a segment for you. We're calling it Over or Under.
I love it.
It's I'm just going to throw something out there, and you tell me if you think it's overrated or underrated.
Okay.
And then we can discuss it a little.
All right.
First one, it's called Over Under. Since it's called Over Under, gambling, overrated or underrated?
Ooh. You know what? I'm going to say underrated. I know it's destroyed a lot of families and ruined some lives, but I have a lot of fun when I do it. I don't have a problem. So I'm going to say underrated. When I do casinos, I'll play on the roulette table, and it's fun. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I don't do it a lot, but I like blackjack, roulette, a few of those games. I'll throw some.
They say blackjack
has
the best odds. I have the worst track record of blackjack. Maybe I don't understand how to play, but you ever play the craps table?
No, I don't know how to play.
I don't either, but I have one. My camera, that's the one I've been using, is like a DSLR. I was able to buy it because I won, over $1,000 at the craps table. No idea what I was doing. I was with my buddies.
You need somebody that kind of knows, because it seems like one guy can roll, and they're like, yeah, that's good. And I'm like, okay. And then you roll
a hot
again.
table, everyone's cheering. It's like, all right, we'll keep going. Yeah.
Yeah, it's fun when that kind of stuff happens, but those guys that are addicted they probably think it's underrated too, but they just have a problem.
Yeah. They've probably had more nights where that wasn't the case.
Yeah. How about the Olympics? Overrated, underrated?
Oh, this is I don't know if it's accurate for me to say overrated. I just I'm not as into it as the rest of the world. I wish I was. So I'm going to say it's overrated, but I'm not trying to convince anyone of that.
Yeah.
I don't want to look like a bad guy. There's so many, I like watching basketball, I like watching, downhill skiing, but there's just so many. I was watching fencing. I watched it for like 40 minutes with my kids, and I was like, I don't know who's winning, how they're winning, what you have to do.
Yeah.
People dedicate their lives to certain sports, and you're like, I've never really heard of that.
Yeah, I kind of agree. I mean, I like certain things, but the schedule too is all over the place.
Mm-hmm.
Like ping pong's on while the USA basketball team's on, and they're showing ping pong. I'm like, where can I just watch basketball or whatever? Or people
I think Peacock, you can do that. I think Peacock, you can pick the. That's what I hear.
People get into it though. They're like, "Oh man, did you see the synchronized diving last night?" I'm like, "No, I didn't see it. It's like probably on at 2 a.m. or something. It's crazy." But yeah, I'm with you on that one. Quentin Tarantino, overrated, underrated?
You know, I'm a huge fan, but I think he's adequately rated. You know, like I'm a huge fan. I don't think he's overrated at all, but I also don't think he's underrated. He's got quite a bit of notoriety. You know, like I think he's. I'm going to say adequately rated.
Okay, that works.
Yeah.
This is going to be a hot take probably, but I think he's a little overrated.
Oh,
not a ton.
Here we go. We're going to fight.
This is even hotter take. Not a fan of Pulp Fiction.
Oh, man. All right. I respect that. I disagree highly.
Most people do. Every time I say that, everybody's like, you're an idiot. Fuck you.
Well, let me ask you this. Did you go into it with all the hype behind it? Like, all right. We'll see.
I bet I saw it. Yeah, I think I saw it like 5 years ago. And
for the first time?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And I was like, it's all right. Like, it's fine. But it's not like everybody's like, that's my favorite movie of all time. And I just thought it was okay.
Yeah.
I felt the same way about Jackie Brown, if I'm being honest.
You know what? When I first saw Jackie Brown, I was not a fan.
Yeah.
I didn't like it. And that's probably my least favorite of his. But like with Pulp Fiction, I feel like it was just a timing issue.
Yeah.
If you had seen it in its prime, you might have liked it. But now there's all this hype. Everyone's built it up. Everyone expects you to be like, oh, it was so good. That was like I never saw, some of those old classics like Stripes.
Yeah.
I never saw it. And then, in college or, after college, I was like, I should probably see that movie. It's a classic. And I was just like, I missed the boat on it. Yeah. I didn't see it when you have to see it. And now I was like, didn't do it for me.
Yeah, that happens. Monty Python, The Holy Grail. I saw that when I was like 28 or something. I'm like, yeah, this isn't. If I saw it when I was 12, I did see it
I saw it in like grade school, with all my friends that and we were all just like all in.
I think that's when I
got lucky.
I missed the boat on that one. But, what are you going to do?
Yeah.
Keeping it in the TV and film realm here.
All right.
The British version of The Office, over or underrated?
I'll say underrated. I'm not knocking the American one. I love the American one. I've probably seen it all the way through, minus the last 3 seasons. Probably 8 or 9 times, legit. But the British one, I was a huge fan. Saw that before they made the American one, and I love it. I don't even know if you can say which one's better. I guess you have to say the British one because it's the original.
Mm-hmm.
But they're very after season 1, I should say, because season 1 it's basically the same script, or at least that pilot episode. But I like them both, so I'd say the British one's underrated just because everybody knows about the American one.
I fucked up on this one too because I'm just now watching the British version.
Okay.
So. I've seen The Office, the American one 100 times.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, well, it's just the same as that, but it's British, more British.
Yeah, and less over the top as far as the the later
it's
seasons.
fine too, but it's like, if I would have saw that one first, I would have liked it more, I'm sure.
Yeah, that's a good point. I don't know if you can go back. Once you're so accustomed to the American one, it's hard to be even though you have that knowledge, well, this is what it's from. Yeah, that's interesting.
It's like, these guys sound funny. It's like, I can't understand everything they're saying there.
Yeah.
But, yeah. This is kind of this is music, but a kind of niche. The Gorillaz. You remember those? The band?
Yeah. I'll say overrated.
Yeah.
I'll say. I like their, I only know their songs that are on the radio, and they're great, but overrated.
Very overrated in my book. They had those 2 songs 20 years ago.
Well, Clint Eastwood, is that one of them?
That's one. And then the other one, I don't even know the name of it, but it was kind of... And then they play them still on the local radio station. You'll hear them once a day.
Oh, wow.
I don't know if it's that much, but you'll hear once a week, maybe. I'm just I'm tired of this 2 songs from these guys. But
Isn't one of their songs... You know that song... there's a U2 song called Staring at the Sun from their pop album, and I think one of the Gorillaz songs, I don't know if it's like a sample of it, but it's like it's got the same.
Okay.
I think it's probably they're probably just sampling it because it's like the same.
I saw a thing too where like the main guy that was from the Gorillaz or whatever had like this little audio or machine, like a mixer thing, and he hit the like button just to like it almost looked like he just turned it on, but it was like the beat for their main song.
Oh, okay.
It's like, so they just took that and then sang over it, basically. I don't know.
I don't know enough about that. I all the videos are like cartoons, right?
Yeah, they didn't know who they were initially or something. I don't know. Not a fan. Last one, air conditioning.
Oh, I mean, I guess underrated. I love air conditioning.
Very
Is it
underrated
though? I mean, everyone likes it, you know?
Yeah, I know, but even I think it's still, even though that everybody loves it, it's underrated because
it's pretty great.
It's 100 degrees all the time in St. Louis and 100% humidity, and it's rough.
Did you think of that because the loud air conditioning?
Yeah, you got to deal with that too. It's great for audio, you know?
Oh, sure.
But I think if I lived just like 100 years ago and air conditioning wasn't a thing, I would be I'd be bitching about it all the time. Like, I can't sleep. Yeah. I'm sweating. I can't do anything.
Let me ask you, would you rather be too cold or too hot in general?
Too cold. I run hot. So like if it's not 70 degrees, I'm sweating.
Okay. Yeah, I'd rather be too cold too.
But I guess there's extremes though too, because if it's like 0 or 90, like you're not going to die at 90. But you're going to die at 0.
Yeah.
They both suck. Heating and
you can always layer up. You've been where there's no air conditioning. You're hot. You're naked. And you're like, well, this is all I can do.
Yeah.
You know, I can't do anything else. If you're cold, you just layer after layer.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. I'm going too cold on that one. But that's about all I got. Over. Over under.
All right.
It's a new segment.
Good segment.
Yeah, man. I know you got another show to get ready for here.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, coming up pretty quick. I'm gonna check you out.
Sure. Oh, you're gonna be at the show?
I'm sticking around.
Right,
I'm checking it out. But where can people find you? Your social media, all that kind of stuff.
Johnny Comic, pretty much across the board. Instagram. Are people still using Twitter X?
I think it dipped a little, not a lot anymore, but throw it out there.
I peek and it's Johnny Comic.
Okay.
Facebook Johnny Comic, and then my website is just johnnybeehner.com for upcoming dates.
Cool. Well, thanks for being here, man. We'll wrap things up, get ready for the show, and have a beer or something.
All right, sounds good.
All right.
Thanks, man.
Thanks for being here. Johnny Beehner, everybody. Thanks for watching Back in the Room.